Welcome back to Where is the Money? So how bad is the job market? Now we see different stories and clips on social media with people talking about how bad their interview process is, how many applications they fill out, all the back and forth about the process and how terrible that is while being out of work, doing this over and over again for months, sometimes years. But what does the numbers say now? Well, we normally lean to the BLS numbers, but we're obviously not going to get that due to the government shutdown, so we have to lean on alternative sources. And that would be partly from the ADP payroll numbers.
We do have a big number coming up right now, though. ADP private payroll data just hitting the wires, and Steve Leisman is here with those numbers. Steve.
Minus 32,000 versus an estimate of 45,000. Put an asterisk on that. We're going to explain why that's lower than expected in just a second. The goods sector down 3,000. The service sector down 28,000. The non-farm payroll estimate for Friday is 51,000. Now, this number here that you saw was a result in part of ADP incorporating those recent big revisions from the BLS in terms of their April to March 2025 numbers. So August was 54,000. That's now been revised down to minus 3,000 as part of an incorporation of a new growth rate in the job market that ADP picked up from the benchmark revision. So September minus 32 would have been plus 11 without those revisions. But this is the new reality.
So we have some growth and some losses. It seems to be a lot of the growth are from the bigger companies and a lot of the losses is from the mid-size to smaller companies. Now let's go over to the Fed Governor Christopher Waller in order to get his perspective on trying to navigate the market and the changes from the Fed level without reliable data from the BLS. How leaning to ADP in some of these alternative sources can provide a picture on next steps, whether they should cut or not. It seems to provide some information in a snapshot, although it's not as in-depth as the BLS, which of course we didn't get.
Right? How do you make policy in the absence of the economic data? We learned this morning you are going to get the CPI. Tell us in general about your concern or lack of concern about trying to figure out what the right policy is without the economic data.
Well, remember, we've had shutdowns before, and this popped up. I can't remember what year it was, but it did pop up once before where we weren't going to get data or it was delayed. And that became, what are we going to do? And that was when we looked at a lot of private sector data that still comes out. And there's a lot of it. Now, the problem is it's not necessarily representative or as broad as sort of the government official data. But if you get enough pieces of information, you can kind of pretty much get a picture of what's happening. So, for example, there's lots of things popping about from the labor market that we're hearing. Like Carlisle had something the other day, ADP, we get all these things. They're not really representative and they're very specific, but they're all telling you the same story. The labor market is weak, right? And that's the punchline for policy. That's what we need to know.
So according to his statements, he coming to the same conclusion that we have come to a long time ago, which is the job market is not great. It's softening and potentially accelerate. We know this, we feel this, we experience this, we see it through social media. We know friends and family that's affected by it, friends and family that are looking for jobs. We are on the front lines. So now the data is reflecting that although they keep coming up with revisions, no matter the revision, it's always a little worse than what they're thinking.
Ooh, boy, ADP just dropped their payroll numbers for September and a revision for August, and the numbers are fucking horrific. Let's get into it. So ADP is reporting a 32,000 job loss for September. We won't get the BLS numbers because of the government shutdown, and Republicans seem very happy that we're not getting those numbers. And they also revised August down to a 3,000 loss for their job numbers. So apparently making America great again is when the country loses jobs 3 out of the last 4 months. You can't find a job. You can't get a new job if you quit your job. You can't afford groceries. You can't afford health care. You can't afford to buy a house. You can't go down in an American city without seeing ICE kidnapping people and the National Guard all over the place. I don't know about y'all, but I sure ain't feeling great right now.
It seems that the travel and leisure industry was one of the biggest losers of jobs. That's no surprise. People don't have extra money, extra capital. They're focusing on essentials. They're not doing a lot of big trips. It makes sense. However,
I was very, by the way, moved by the Contessa Brewer's report about Carnival bookings up 26, booking healthily into 27. Casinos are doing well. It's hard to see the consumer flat on their back when they're basically taking cruises and gambling at the casinos.
So consumer spending is the backbone of the economy, and
Right.
more so now than ever. It's really driving that growth. But the question in my mind as a labor economist is that consumer spending strong enough and broad-based enough, and that's an important caveat as well, to support job growth? We know it's supporting economic growth, but is it supporting labor market growth? Right now, we're not seeing it.
Well, another jobs report has come out by ADP, and there were 32,000 jobs lost in the month of September. And as I recall, back in June, there were 13,000 jobs lost. And he says that this economy is doing so well. The tariffs is helping the country. The country is so hot right now. I've not seen anything yet to help this country. I've not seen it. And when you constantly hear that jobs are being lost, federal employees are getting laid off, how is it that the country is moving forward? Nothing this man has done is helping this country. I don't care what no one says. He's not doing anything to help this country. He's just driving it down in the ground. Yeah, so more jobs lost. 32,000 jobs lost, according to ADP. Go check it out because it's out there.
so what do you make of this? Through all this information, do you feel like the job market is okay, bad, or it's fine? We're good. You tell me. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.